Beardy and the Beast Media Club.
Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. This is a placeholder intro song.
Hello and welcome to Beardy and the Beast Media Club, a discussion of media where we fully embrace spoilers, though we may need four arms and hands to hold on to them all. We're available here and are likely available on any other services you prefer, with a full list available at beardyandthebeast.com. As always, if you enjoy what we do, leave a like, give us a follow, but really, just give us a share with your friends. My name is Drew, and with us, as always, is our fellow band member, Devin.
Yo.
Today we'll be discussing the 2020 Ghibli piece, Earwig and the Witch. So, Devin,
Yep.
we've discussed in the past how our podcast tends to have a similar flow or development that kind of mirrors the pieces that we watch.
Yep.
Uh, Given that, I would say 3 out of 12 witches, and this has been the Beardy and the Beast Media Club. Join us next week where we discuss Silent Hill Revelations. Revelations. uh,
Well,
so I don't want to
I,
lead you too
I,
much.
I would give it 9 out of 12 witches, but that would be a lie, like the rest of this bloody film.
uh, I do have. I would like to talk about positives first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna lead in on this one.
All right.
Uh, I really like the animation. The the movements of the bodies and the characters was very smooth. Like
Okay.
the flow of the characters, it didn't come off as lazy. There was a bit that I could have desired more in the facial expressions. However, like even then, the way that the characters' arms, legs, and whatnot move seem on the upper end of 3D animated films. Uh, I did see a review that kind of said that the characters were a little bit basic, whereas the backgrounds were really detailed and Ghibli-like, which I would probably agree.
I would agree with that. I actually saw something that moved it to computer animated because it was easier to do all those details in the backgrounds and such.
Hmm.
Um, I disagree with you.
Ooh.
So, um, while there's some movements and such that I agree were really good, like I'm thinking of Earwig, like he goes to hide and like just this kind of like weird shuffle behind and hides behind her bed. I thought that was absolutely adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this it felt stiff to me.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. Um, so the animation in this here felt more to me Toy Story like as opposed to Tangled.
Mm.
So and it was something that like just caught me right off the bat is like the hair, for example. It was stiff. It felt like plastic. Like there was no movement in characters' hair when they were turning or moving around. Or
I could agree with that.
I so yeah, that's kind of the things that I was seeing, and it pulled me out. It like felt yeah, it's as I said, like Toy Story compared to Tangled. I think Disney has actually outside of Pixar when they started doing their own computer animated ones, they did very well at capturing the style of their animation. Like when I look at Tangled, when I look at Frozen, it very much fits the style of like The Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like that. I did not feel like these characters felt like Ghibli characters to me.
I didn't even think about it in that way.
Mhm.
Um, like I like it's definitely a valid point,
Mhm.
but I just thought, hey, new medium. new character looks.
Yeah, and that's fair. Um, I think again the bigger thing was just the stiffness. It felt like again the hair was the big thing that got me. It's like you have the witches with like this big bouncy hair
Hmm.
that stayed static even when she's like riding a motorcycle.
There was only one part of the movement that bugged me, and that's when Earwig was kind of sneaking around.
Mhm.
Um, and there was specifically one step before she went to grab the doorknob, I think it was. And it was just unrealistic. All her weight would have been on the front foot, which was elevated and forward.
Yeah,
So she should have been had a forward momentum. But
right.
that wasn't the case. She was kind of like hovering in more of a like super like comical cartoony sense, which
Yes.
then like I quickly dismissed.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and I do think there was character in the animation. Again, I think it just threw me off because I expect a little bit better in computer animation nowadays. But yeah, you're right. Going, it's like, yeah, this is really the first feature film that they've done computer animated. Because apparently they have a series that's computer animated or something. But I didn't know about that. So,
hmm. The I did throughout this entire film up until the credits actually have like a smile on my face.
mm,
Like there's this like warm-hearted kind of entertained feeling, like genuinely a kind of like childlike enjoyment I was experiencing.
yeah, I I'd agree with that too. I think it was. I wasn't. I was entertained throughout the movie. Like, I enjoyed. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interactions between Earwig and Bella. Like, I actually liked the characterization there. I thought uh, Earwig actually came across as kind of industrious, clever child. A little bit of a brat, but I think that characterization was there. Uh, Bella and Mandrake, I thought, were characterized very well as kind of those strict foster parents in a way. So I that's other parts of the film that I really did enjoy. No, no.
I did like kind of one of like the hallmarks of the Ghibli films is each character has like a unique personality and identity,
Yeah,
and that's something that you did see here. So it wasn't like Bella and Mandrake were like the same by any means.
yeah.
Uh, they definitely were unique in their own ways. Though I kind of Earwig and her personality kind of sums up my one of my major issues with the film,
All right.
and it's really just this this little girl who's learned to manipulate all the people around her, and there is never a negative consequence to this, to the point where she manipulates a dragon or a demon so that a witch will be nice to her and give her what she wants. And now she's got the princess bed and story over. I'm like, I guess it's
So,
time for me to get into the negative aspects of this film.
so like okay, so the manipulation that was there, I don't know if I think there's a lot of ambiguity around that. I didn't like it. Like I'm with you. I did not like that that's what was done. But I think there's some potential ambiguity there, which might have been answered if we actually got a movie.
Yeah.
um, so one, is she manipulative because she's a witch? Like, is this a magic ability, or is this just her being a bratty child who gets what she wants?
Uh,
Is Mandrake related to her?
hmm. Is
Because
she a
that's
half
definitely
witch, half
hinted at,
demon?
right? Because I mean, that's definitely hinted at. Um, right? Like these little tiny things might make it make a little bit more sense because then she just becomes a daddy's girl and and things start changing and
I mean, if any of that had been discussed at any point. So here, I just saw it as um plain manipulation because her monologues just straight up saying like um yeah, I'll go after the Mandrake so that I can get what I want, and he'll
yeah,
make Bella do what I want. Like it, it stopped feeling like industrious and clever about a third of the way through the film, and for me, it started feeling a whole lot more. Not even spoiled. I wouldn't even call her spoiled.
yeah.
Um, it's very manipulative, and it made me not connect with the character. But I guess
So
I think
I,
I'm just gonna do a quick like potential theoretical sum up of our problems with this film as I what I think it revolves around. The fact that there's no like progression forward. There's no real resolution of anything. All the interesting plot points, none of them were realized.
yeah.
So I mean, if we even break it down from the start, she's fleeing something. She's on her motorcycle. She delivers this baby to this orphanage so that the 12 witches can't have her.
Yeah,
What 12 witches?
but that's not Earwig's story.
No, but
That's what it felt like to me.
this is the major failing of a lot of these Ghibli films where they throw in a random plot aspect like this that has no bearing on the film. It's like, oh, the scarecrow was the prince the whole time. It's like, what? I mean,
I like that you keep using Howls because the original source material this is based off of was written by the same authors the Howls source material.
yeah, I know. I know.
I
I got a few things to say about Howls too, but
I know
this
you
isn't
do.
this isn't the place for it. No, it's just
Well, let's take that plot point for a second. So you're right. Okay, so we have no idea what these 12 witches are. I mean,
are
it was
they?
clear when she was getting adopted in the orphanage that, you know, Bella and Mandrake were, you know, witches occult based. So I'm like, so in my mind, I'm going, okay, so are these the people that she was trying to hide her from?
Yeah.
Huh, how coincidental. And that gets layered on top because when Earwig is scrambling through the house, that first night, we see, you know, the yellow car.
So yeah, let's stop right there. That entire section was the best part of the movie.
Yep.
That was a first third. That was like okay, we have some looming conflict.
Yep.
Um, we have mystery.
Mm-hmm.
We know that some interesting things are happening. It's like, oh, she's in the hands of these people that she was supposed to be hidden from. And then this second third, just slice of life in a witch's house.
Like I could even like I think if the second third or the
Is even
latter two
thirds.
thirds of the film
Mm-hmm.
were, you know, half the half the length because they really didn't need to be as long as they were.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we had something happen, I don't know, after her mom shows up in the last shot of the film.
It's
Like,
just
here's the story I want.
it's like and is the mom gonna freak out that Earwig's there? What's gonna happen with this little kid that's or of Ah, jeez.
Custard?
Custard. What's gonna happen with Custard? He's afraid of Mandrake. Apparently, they've interacted before because Custard is already afraid of Mandrake. The This brings me to my second glaring issue with this film. The character relationships, none of them are realized.
None.
So what I would like, the closest thing you have is Mandrake and Earwig,
Yeah.
because it's clear that Mandrake's got his own like demon attitude problems, but he's concerned or caring for Earwig as he should as an adoptive parent or a foster parent.
I really loved how those two
I
were
wanted
actually done.
they definitely needed to explore that more. The fact that they even mentioned that Custard was afraid to come to the house because Mandrake was there.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the best way to say it? It's throwaway. Didn't
Yeah.
need to be in the film at all.
Yeah.
Neither neither did Custard bringing a present at the end.
So I think for the present at the end, oh,
Oh,
wasn't it like if I felt like it was Christmas?
yeah, but before we move on, the the cat and mouse between Bella and Earwig,
Mm,
and that like them through conflict growing fond of each other or even competitive in some way
yeah.
would have been great for this film in the direction it decided to go,
Yeah.
opposed to the place it just stood there in a field. Not even looking at the ocean in front of it, just looking at like a pile of rocks that have no purpose.
Yeah.
Like this.
I I I think we're kind of jumping a little bit. I wanted to finish up with the Mandrake Earwig relationship. I do think that, like I was to say, they portrayed that fatherliness aspect, I think, very well. Even when it came to, everyone's like, "Oh no, don't annoy him," and she does, but yeah, he gets annoyed, lets it go through, gets her a shepherd's pie,
Hmm.
like that type of thing. So that's why I almost feel that I don't think she was. I don't think there was as much manipulation of Mandrake as she likes to think there was. I think that was always there.
But the intent matters.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree from his point of view, from
yeah,
Mandrake's point of view. Um, he is clear that he's allowing himself to be.
yeah,
Um, but from Earwig's point of view, it's not to grow closer to the Mandrake.
yeah,
It's to gain things that she desires, not even
yeah.
needs. Um, it would be another thing if she was doing it for needs such as like affection, care.
Mhm, yeah,
Um, but again, that's pretty much the only realized relationship there. Her and the house mother from the orphanage.
yeah. I think
Um,
she was literally just matron, wasn't she?
yeah, matron.
Yeah,
Um, that would be the second most,
mm,
and she's got what like a 10 lines maybe.
yeah,
Well, I guess that's more than Mandrake, but Mandrake's character doesn't speak. So that's not really a valid.
yeah.
I'm just I was fond of the Earwig Mandrake relationship, mostly because of the Mandrake.
Mm,
Just coming him like looming angry eyes, and he's like, "Here's
yeah,
some cookies or whatever."
yeah. I think I want it to be fond of Bella and Earwig's relationship as well,
Hmm.
but I I was hoping that it's like, oh yeah, with like the agreement to teach magic as well as
Yeah, yeah,
if you're helping. So what I was really thought was going to happen was like a Mr. Miyagi type.
yeah. Wax on, wax off moment.
Yeah, it's like, yep, yep, that's all you're doing. You're just grabbing these thistles. That's it. But I was really hoping for something there, and it wasn't.
Hmm.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity, and I think it would have it would have helped my impressions of the film a bit more. Um, it would have helped the story, and like it was set up, but it wasn't realized.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I say like just
Yeah,
unrealized relationships. Like,
yeah, yeah,
uh, I mean, you don't really need more details of Earwig and Custards. They kind of just establish that from the get go.
yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, from the first scene, you know what they're. It was portrayed well in that way. It's just like you know exactly how these two characters are interacting, what their
Yeah,
relationship is.
yeah.
Um,
I was kind of hoping that the whole him not coming over because he was scared of Mandrake was like again in search for a conflict. I was hoping that was almost a lie. They were just told that, but in reality, they hadn't tried to have him reach out.
Before I forget,
Yep.
did you at any point think that Thomas was Custard's dad?
I don't know if I thought dad. I thought there was no. I actually thought Thomas was Custard.
Okay, I mean that's close enough.
And yeah, yeah, that's what I thought, and I'm like, oh, this is why he's not actually coming over.
So, a little history about Custard.
I, I want to point out one thing about Custard,
Hmm.
and then go into the history. Earwig is a stupid name, but Custard isn't.
I mean, I agree.
All right.
Just like I picked apples, like earwigs hang out around the stems.
Yeah.
So like when you pick an apple, you kind of twist and go up and dump out the earwigs. Twist and
Oh,
dump,
okay.
twist and dump. It's um. So Custard's family died in a fire.
Hmm.
So what I was thinking, what was leading up to, we mostly because the unimportance or the lack of importance of the character of Thomas
Hmm.
again didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I thought maybe because we're still at that point considering like, oh, are these evil witches or whatnot? I was like, did they turn? Was that them? And did they turn Custard's dad into a cat?
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that.
Because of the personality same, and she kept mixing them up, and they were the same. So I thought they were going to go that route.
Yeah, I think I read that a little differently. I think I read that as, a 6-year-old girl longing for a friend and she's talking to a cat, so she can call the cat whatever she wants until the cat starts talking back to her.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Um,
you're right. You're right.
yeah, that's how I read that, but I did enter my mind like, especially when we're like, oh yeah, no, he won't come over because of Mandrake. I'm like, it's the cat. Is that the cat? Yeah, that's where I went on that one.
So
I
just
think. Oh, go ahead.
just so much throwaway in the film,
Yeah.
like because they didn't realize relationships, and there is no attempts of consequences or additional conflicts. Like, we don't know the interaction between the Mandrake and Custard and why that's important. So at that point, there's no point to say that line.
Hmm.
And because there was nothing after the door opened, there was no point for the kid to even be there with the Christmas gift. It could have just been a knock at the door, and there's this lady that Earwig has never seen. It just seemed like there was a lot of litter on this film that you would not expect to see in the majority of Ghibli films.
Yeah.
A lot of them visually might have things that are extra,
Hmm.
maybe unrequired movements and that sort of thing, but the actual spoken dialogue is always well thought through
Yeah.
and important.
So this is an interesting thing. Like this is obviously big what ifs. So um Hayao Miyazaki wasn't the one who did this. It
Of
was his
course.
son, right? But Hayao Miyazaki was originally going to do it. And I think the studio convinced him to pass off to his son so he could work on something else. I wonder how this film would have changed in Miyazaki Senior's hands. I wonder if
Hmm.
that like just as a thought thing, like I'm not sure how many I've seen of Garo Miyazaki's films. I don't think I've actually seen the ones he's directed. Or Sir Garo.
I mean, that being said, Hayao Miyazaki um, did direct and do the screenplay from Howls. But
Yeah,
in this
but I
case,
don't
it
have the
looks
same
like it
issue.
was done by Hiko Niwa and Emi Gunji. I'm pretty sure I just obliterated that name. So
Did you
yours?
feel as lied? Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, but you were about to say, do you feel as lied to as I did?
I was, in fact, about to say that.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're gonna say, and
Yeah.
I was going to say something along the same lines. Yes, this film was in no way the way it was presented from the lead up. Like if we were to compare this to Princess Kaguya,
Mhm.
the whole like moonlight procession coming down out of nowhere and being like, oh, she's actually from the moon, and this isn't just some spirity thing. Like that was more on the point than what this film did
Yeah.
because there was lead up to it. It was like, okay, there's these 12. I'm just gonna super fast recap it.
Yeah.
So that first third, you have the mother's being chased to the orphanage. 12 witches are in pursuit. Um, she leaves successfully. Then you have this kid gets picked up by these two, what we assume is witches.
Even before that, there's other parts that lied to us.
Really?
Earwig's dropped off with a tape, and
Hmm.
we get the opening credit scenes that reminded me of something like K-On!
Okay.
And then we go back to the recap as you're going through.
Thank you. Um, and then it's setting up like it's like, oh, the conflict is, do the witches know that uh, this is the child of this redheaded motorcycle vixen, Uwu? Um, do they do they not know? And is this going to be like a conflict point in the future? Like, what's going on with these witches? Like, obviously they're evil because they're chasing the what we assume is the good person. And then we get dumped into slice of life. You're kind of like, oh, it's building up, it's building up. And it's like, wait a minute. You find the car. Oh, that was the car that was chasing. You're like, okay, things are coming together. Things are feeling good. I'm getting tense. There's drama. And then nothing. And
Yep.
then it's like, oh no, there's this band, and they were all in the band, and they were chasing her for some reason. We don't know actually know why. We can make assumptions as to why. And then the mother comes back.
Yeah.
That's the film.
Yeah.
I
And we
I
get these little interspersed scenes, like flashbacks to the mother and the band, and you see this witch that we're assuming is evil because of the car, and you know, just the demeanor that I could see people going, "Oh, that's evil." I'm like, "Yeah, strict, maybe, maybe a
well,
little too far in a few places, but for the most part."
yeah,
Uh,
the
and
personalities weren't evil. I would
yeah,
like I could
yeah,
tell with Mandrake from the beginning,
yeah,
aloof maybe.
yeah. But so we get these cuts to them, so which immediately raises the questions of, did you know you were adopting your daughter slash niece slash something related to you when you were doing this? If so, why weren't you there like 6 or 7 years ago? And okay, is Mandrake the father? Like you're hinting at these things, and you're giving us nothing. It, and again, that opening scene, I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. I kind of like this idea of the music, and I could see magic coming from music. That seems like a Ghibli type story. The music has nothing to do with the film, but
But
they played it so heavily in the like
pause a
it's
point.
it, you know,
The music was pretty good.
oh yeah,
Like
sorry.
as a
The
jam,
music was good. Yeah.
like I was
Sorry.
bopping.
Oh yeah. So yeah, the
But
music was good, but in relation to the story, it was it didn't it had no consequence. It was just
exactly.
something that was there. And when you lead up, like with those opening credits, I'm like, oh, this is cool. So like I could see, music and magic. Like again, this seems
That'd be
like a
really
Ghibli
cool.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the closest we get is Bella finally going like loosening up a little bit and playing the drums with some wooden spoons at the end.
So
And we
this
see Mandrake playing on an organ for a little bit. Like,
so this is what really bugs me about this film. It's it's like an emotional betrayal. Okay.
yeah.
Each of the individual scenes as they were, the attitudes, the way it was portrayed, I enjoyed.
Yes.
It was how they were connected that was just out the window. This it's almost like the fever dream of a, child's bedtime story. So just saying like random plot points, and then someone went, "Oh, I have to take this group of things and string it together somehow."
Yeah.
This is. I'm really wondering if this had the same kind of treatment as The Little Hours did.
Mm.
7 pages into a feature film.
And I completely agree with you. To the point that last night I was trying to Google search and see if I could find anything about the book, but everything just points to the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder about that. And then, just in my head just now, I know what makes this movie better.
Mm.
Let's give this the Little Hours treatment. Wasn't about the nuns.
Yep.
This movie is actually about Mandrake.
Mm. Okay. Yep.
So this
Yep.
drama, his love is lost. It's gone to the winds. He needs something to fill his heart. So he goes to the orphanage and he adopts a child who may or may not be related to him. Ooh, mystery. Definitely cares for this child, and he sees that the other person in the household is being overly strict, so they have some words. And
Yep.
then drama at the end where his long lost love comes back.
Oh, I like this.
It is the most complicated storyline in this entire film.
Yep. I like this. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
No, I like this. That makes so much more sense to me.
Earwig and the Witch, or as I like to call it, Mandrake and Pals. Did that? It did seem kind of out of nowhere, just to kind of bring up. We mentioned that the Mandrake, maybe the mom, uh, who may or may not have a name. I don't think they said it in the film.
Not to my knowledge.
Um, when they were riding in that car, and then she was like leaning back to kiss, and then like the car jostled and they stopped. That like it was out of nowhere, but it was in that positive sense
Yeah.
because it again like each individual scene was great.
Yeah.
I really liked.
Yeah.
It's just all
Yeah.
the
I liked the jostle. I thought that was nice and playful. And again, the individual scenes themselves were good. Right. Like,
my I guess the problem is like you could come into this and just carve out big chunks of it and have the movie fundamentally be the same.
yeah. You you know what it almost felt like to me?
Hmm.
It felt like I think I would have been better with this if it was like a pilot for a TV series.
Yeah.
Like that's what it felt like to me. It felt like okay, yeah, we're getting the character, we're learning a little bit, episode 2 or 3, the mother comes back and now we start getting start getting more story or the conflict or what's happening with the other 12 witches or
Or this is gonna sound weird, but bear with me because we understand how the way that Japanese animated series can kind of progress. This first this movie as the first season,
Mhm.
um, like one of them short runs that are 12 episodes or
Yeah.
whatever. And then at the end of the first season, you have the mom show up, and then you can explore these relationships.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe show some consequences to Earwig being a little jerk.
I'm really irritated that that spell just worked for her. Like the one where
Oh,
she's
to get out of the worms or whatever.
yeah. Like the cat's like, no, I was just swearing. I have no idea what was said.
Yeah, it means that there's no consequence to like even choosing the right words
Yeah.
when you're doing an incantation.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, if they explore the relationship between the potential parents, like
Yeah.
maybe a little demon craft, a little witchcraft, mix those together.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah, it
we
was oh god.
we are so I guess Bella and Mandrake are siblings.
Maybe?
Are they?
I I don't know.
I mean, they have a similar hair consistency, and I guess they all kind of do. Is that a witch thing? Just weird hair?
Yeah, I mean it entered my mind. It's like maybe it's the patron or something like that,
Hmm.
switches can get their powers from a demon or something like that. Uh so that entered my head as a possibility.
It's
I'm
it's it's almost like there was multiple random storylines that were just crammed into one film.
yeah.
Like, I would love to see if this was the story of the band,
Mhm.
kind of like rockish band, playing small clubs, sticking it to the man, the 12 witches, being kind of rebellious, like that'd be super cool. I'd
Mm.
watch that series. If this was uh like a slice of life, witchcraft, little adorable demon things. Um, I mean, I probably wouldn't. It wouldn't be my cup of tea, but I could see there being a large audience for that.
Yeah.
Um, or even like an adventure, like a
Yeah.
little girl, like you know, Earwig Potter and
Yeah.
the poorly made mixtape. Earwig Potter and the poorly made mixtape.
Yeah.
I wish we could use that as the title for this film, but it doesn't encompass what this film was,
Yeah.
which was a bunch of random ingredients, including frogs' legs and crushed up cat skulls in a pot, just mixed up. And you know what I also wanted to see?
Hmm.
Uh, this is not like me. Anyone who's listened to this up until now, I haven't gone this hard on a film as of yet. I've not pulled a Devon. Uh, so when a spell was realized, she would smell it and she would say, "Oh, it smells like roses."
Yeah.
What is that an indication of? What bearing does that have on the story? Is that how you know that the spell was successful, or is that she can smell it that way because she's a witch? It's just
Yeah. Yeah, have something there.
so
I
much there, but nothing explored.
yeah. It's yeah, it's a shame. It's like I want it to like this movie. There's a lot there, but it's just like I think this is definitely like this one here definitely felt like a kids film.
I wouldn't even say
It,
that.
yeah,
I'll tell you what this felt like. This felt like a 7 page, um, like teaching your kid to read story,
yeah,
and could be easily made into one.
hmm
Just a flip picture book
yeah,
that was made into a movie. Like even even kids films follow some type of formula.
yeah,
There's an inciting incident. There's conflict. There's something.
yeah. It's
Well, that's the big law
I
you were talking about.
yeah,
It's all encompassed.
yeah. It's a shame. Like I wanted to like it, but yeah, I just felt so lied to throughout, and it's honestly the big reason why like I give it such a low score. There was a lot to love there, but yes, so much of it just felt because it's a betrayal.
Well,
It
the problem with the betrayal is it wasn't even subversive. I don't even think it was intentional.
no,
Like, it's not a case of red herrings. It's not a case of diverting your attention so that you're not looking in a place you should have been looking.
yeah,
It's simply a bunch of objects in a basket. It's just, I mean, I jokingly gave it a 3 out of 12, which is earlier for the bit. What would I give it? That is actually a thinker. Five, 5 out of 12, 5 out of 12 witches.
yeah, yeah. I'm thinking, yeah, it's kind of at about that 4 or 5 out of 12, which is two. It's of all the stuff that's there that worked, that kept a bit that Ghibli charm with the scene, with like the way the characters interacted, with the individual scenes.
Oozing with it.
Yeah, there were. It had Miyazaki's charm without Miyazaki's structure, like
Hmm.
just the stuff tying it together, and it made it feel like a pale imitation. And yeah, I think that's really what hurts it.
My problem here is like we've discussed this many times before. It's when a movie has a lot of problems like this, making the smallest change
Mhm.
to make it better, to have it make sense. For instance, you and I we came to an agreement when we were discussing Nobody having the uh, one of the home invaders be related to the Russians in some way, and that would have made the story make a.
Yeah,
In this case, there's nothing of that nature. You almost have to just split this into two completely unrelated stories.
I can't think of a single small change that would make it connect. Anything I can come up with would be a major change.
Well, the thing for me, and that's that betrayal that you've mentioned a couple times, and that I mentioned, like, I was smiling throughout this because it had that Miyazaki charm all the way to the end. And the problem is, because it was oozing with it, I didn't notice time was moving.
Yeah,
So this film actually went by very quickly for me. But then the credits started rolling, and I went, "Excuse me, what?"
that that's exactly it. I'm like, oh, cool, we're getting into the story now. Like, we're getting into the next part, and that there may be a lot of capital letter swear words written down in my book.
the
Um,
Well, the thing is, like, you've taught me about these films, like Japanese storytelling and how they're kind of back ended loaded.
yeah,
So I've learned to give them a lot of grace in that matter from my um, crayon eating North American story watching brain. Uh, so that's I fully expected.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, it's gonna come in at the end. There's gonna be some conflict. There's gonna be some resolution. Like even the best thing that they could have done for this film, besides make it into like a season of a show so they can actually explore these concepts would be to have that dinner at the end and be like, uh, even if they just set it like off screen, resolution to the 12 witches thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I served for 5 years with the witches to pay off my debts.
Yeah.
Um, and sorry for running from you and leaving you.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only thing you can do, and even then, it would have been a shoddy ending.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything about this screams, "You should love me," except for all the bridges between it.
Yeah.
Uh, it's kind of no, my analogy doesn't make sense. Honestly, I don't really think that we could express into it any further. Um, like we definitely, yeah, without just going back and reiterating or elaborating on existing points.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, all of my notes are basically just us re-elaborating what we've done. I think.
Okay.
I,
Well, I mean, much like this film, we haven't discovered anything new. Um, Overall, I wouldn't watch the movie again. I probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but I don't want my time back. I didn't want to move. It's like the scenes themselves were attractive enough in that like either adorable or compelling way. With that, this has been Beardy and the Beast Media Club. Join us next time for Spooktoberfest. Each week, we'll be releasing a Media Club episode discussing a film that frightened us as children. Tune in as a couple have very special guests. The first is a film chosen by Devin, The Secret of Nim. As always, if you enjoy what we do, rate us well and follow us or even join in the discussion at our Discord. All our socials and services can be found at beardyandthebeast.com.